There's a name for what's gone wrong in this country. And once you have a name, you start seeing it everywhere. I call it the Global Grift. The Global Grift is a systematic conversion of human beings into raw material. Your attention, your fear, your loneliness, your trust, your time, all of it is processed, packaged, and sold back to you at a markup by people who will never know your name. They would not blink if your town just disappeared tomorrow. It's not capitalism. Capitalism makes things. Capitalism provides value. The grift doesn't make anything. The grift just extracts from those that are making things. And I want you to understand something up front, because it's the only thing that really matters about us, is that honorable marketing exists to be diametrically opposed to this global grift at every level. Not just in what we say, in what we build, who we hire, how we price, who we serve, how we serve them, but it's even in what we refuse to do for the money. Every line of copy that we write is a small vote against this thing. Every client that we onboard is one more attorney that we are yanking out of the machine to stand them up back on solid ground. And as veterans, myself and half the company, we swore to defend Americans from enemies, foreign and domestic. So I feel like it's at our core. That's the whole mission. That's what we do. Everything else is kind of like how we do it, right? But understanding this, that the global grift didn't appear out of nowhere. It has many tentacles on this beast, if you want to call it that. And it's impossible for any single leader or a movement to reel it in. Since I'm a marketing guy, that's the angle that I address it. And that's kind of how I see it, because there are really, really good people that are fighting it in all sorts of ways, many different arenas. But that's the arena that I can lean into, because I've been doing this for over 15 years. And so I know the history, because about 100 years ago, there's a man named Edward Bernays. He was Sigmund Freud's nephew. So that tells you a lot about kind of where this global grift system goes. He figured out that you could move a population the way essentially a dog moves sheep. You don't argue with it. You don't reason with it. You just pass the mind entirely. You sell anxiety, and then you sell the cure. You cut them open, and then you sell the bandage. He called it the engineering of consent. He even wrote a book. It's not a conspiracy. It's a manual. The book is literally called Propaganda. And every major industry and institution in this country picked up those ideals and have been running with it for the last 100 years. And you feel the results of that 100 years every single day. Even if you've never actually put words to it. You feel it when you're scrolling a feed that's engineered. It's engineered sentence by sentence to make you feel a little worse so that you will buy something to feel a little bit better. And you feel it when your kid cares more about their test scores than about who your kid actually is. You feel it when you go to the doctor and you get them for 11 minutes because they have this massive quota that they have to hit. You feel it when the food is engineered to override part of your brain that would normally tell you that you've had enough, or drinking fluoride to make your teeth whiter, while it's providing other massive health benefits, especially on the spiritual side, with understanding your pineal gland and what that actually, the function that has within your body. You feel it often too whenever you look at the news, because it doesn't inform you, it's there to inflame you. And mostly because fear pays better than understanding will. And the important thing is that none of this is broken. That's the product. You are the product. Your exhaustion is the product. A tired, scared, lonely person, they buy more. They comply more. And they push back against this global grift a whole lot less. That's the whole game. But the worst part isn't even the manipulation. The worst part is what comes after it. When somebody figures out that you can skip the making and selling things part of this equation just altogether, and you can forget about improving products, improving things to make it actually better, and just strip what other people's have built for financial gain, things become so much more clear. But let me show you what I mean, because once you see it once, I feel like it's one of those things that you will see forever. So in 2005, there were 3 private equity firms, KKR, Bain Capital, and Vornado. They bought Toys R Us. Toys R Us was a profitable company. Generations of us grew there. I'm in my early 40s, so I have very, very fond memories of being at Toys R Us. You probably do too, But this deal, it loaded the company with about $5 billion in debt. It was debt that the company had to carry, not the buyers, not these private equity guys that came in. Because the new owners, they charged the company nearly $500 million in management fees while it was bleeding to death because of this debt it loaded on it. And by the time it was bankrupt, 33,000 people lost their jobs. And the people that came in and did this walked away massively profiting from it. It wasn't a failure of the system. That is the system. That is the private equity system for many of them. Now, of course, there are some good ones. As with anything, there's good and there's bad. But that's how a lot of them operate. Those three in particular. This is not a isolated case. This is something that we see time and time again. They find something healthy and beloved. They saddle it with debt. They strip it for parts. They charge it for the privilege of being dismantled. And then they walk away, leaving a husk. Well, we all feel the pain of having to rebuild it or figure out life without it. Now, you want to look at your own industry while you're doing things like this. And since I work with so many attorneys, I know the competition. I see the work that they do. I know it very well. And for law firms, this exact playbook is already running on you. And so many don't even know it yet. KKR, one of those three companies, they own Internet Brands. Internet Brands owns FindLaw, Martindale Hubbell, Lawyers.com, Avo, Nolo, a few more. It's the whole directory ecosystem. It's every platform that you've been told that you have to be on is now owned by one private equity-backed conglomerate. And at the same time, like, you want to say, like, oh, there's other good players in it. Scorpion acquired GNGF, and so it's consolidating on the other side, too. There's two giants, but they're essentially running on the same playbook. The goal is not to make your practice better. The goal is to make extraction in this global grift system just more efficient. And I think you already know it in your gut. You feel it every time that your monthly invoice goes up and the service quality continues to come down. Or when you call and your account manager is a different person every single time that you pick up the phone. And none of them know your name or your practice. Then you certainly feel it when that contract auto-renews and the new terms are quietly worse. Or when you're paying like $400 for a lead and you find out that the guy called the wrong number, or that same lead had been sent to 5 other law firms. It's not just bad service, it's the design. You are not their partner, you are not their team. They are not even really a company in the way you think of yours as a company. They are a financial instrument, and you are a number. You are an income stream. And the people on the other end of this arrangement, they don't care if your firm thrives, struggles, or closes the doors. They only care that the fee that they're charging you clears before you figure out what happens. And once you see this grift in legal marketing, you truly do start seeing it everywhere because it truly is the same disease. Hospitals get bought by hedge funds, and then suddenly the nurse ratio drops and the bills go up and good nurses leave. And local newspapers is another one that we've seen it so much over the last few decades by private equity, and suddenly the local reporters, these people that we've built relationships over the years, they're gone. The page is now filled with essentially syndicated outrage from thousands of miles away. Family restaurants get bought, corner pharmacies get bought. Every time something good gets bought, it gets hollowed out. Like the soul of it is taken. The shell is left. The community is billed for that demolition. This is the world that the powerful are building for our children, my children, your children. It's a country where every institution is a front. Every relationship is just a transaction. Service is more of a siphon as they're pulling data out of it. And where does this go? It makes us not trust our doctors as much. It makes us not believe the news. Eventually, you don't even really recognize the place that you grew up in. And it's exhausting, so you don't have the energy left over to push back. It's not an accident. Exhaustion is the goal. A tired population is a compliant population. And if we keep walking this road, our kids are not going to have much to inherit. They'll be strangers with their neighbors. It'll be a country where the best years of their lives are more about generating a quarterly return for someone that they will never meet and who wouldn't care if they could even pay their bills or if the town disappeared. It's not like a future. It's a slow surrender. Personally, I refuse to hand that to my kids. And I'm betting that you probably refuse to. But let me tell you the other half of the story, because I'm not saying this all to depress you. I'm saying it because I believe this fight is winnable, and that if you're watching this, you're the exact type of person who can help win it. because there is another America. It's quieter, it doesn't trend, but it's real, it's everywhere, and it's really the thing that's still holding this line. You are probably part of it. If you're a solo attorney in Spartanburg, South Carolina, or a suburb of a big city who knows your clients' names, remembers their kids' birthdays, or if you're a veteran that left some big firm because they wanted you to bill more but care less and you just couldn't stomach it anymore, or the husband and wife practice. I love those. That they start by doing, maybe they started by doing like estate planning because someone in the church needed help, and then word started getting around and naturally go through community. Or you're the small law firm who was the phone yourself. Your clients to the courthouse. Or you quietly drop a fee for a widow just because nobody was looking. And those are the people I serve. We serve those that are serving others. Full stop. That's the whole filter up here. You're not famous. You don't want to be famous. You just want to do honorable work. Take care of your family, serve your community, be left the hell alone by the people that are trying to vacuum the soul out of the legal industry. You are quietly building the country that we actually want our kids to grow up in. And it's not because you're some saint. It's because you're present. It's because you show up, you do the work, you take the calls, you're not outsourcing your content. And right now, you are being squeezed out of visibility by a machine that doesn't care if you live or die. That's where we come in. My entire job, our entire job up here, the entire reason that honorable marketing exists is to make sure that you get found. Not by tricking some algorithm, not by spamming the internet with garbage that has your name on it, but by telling the truth about you, your actual voice, your convictions, your practice, and doing it so clearly and so well that algorithm can't ignore you, that the right people will naturally find it. There's a verse that always comes back to me as I'm thinking about this kind of spiritual war that we are. That the same tools that the Global Grift is using to manipulate billions of people can be used and reforged to serve thousands of people more honestly, more genuinely. The technology isn't evil. The intent is. AI didn't invent the lie. Bernays certainly put it into words, and that was decades before silicon and microchips were around. And that same AI that is being used to flood the internet with nonsense, synthetic noise, it can be used by people who actually give a damn to amplify your authentic voice and to put you in front of the people that need you. And that's what we do with you. We sit down, we have a real conversation, not a bland workshop or a positioning exercise, just a conversation. What makes you weird, what makes you angry, why you keep doing this when easier money exists, what you've learned that most lawyers haven't, what you'd say to a client at 9 at night on the phone when nobody's listening. We have to capture that voice, your actual cadence, your actual convictions. So many attorneys are too, and they have no idea how to display that humor. But then we use the most powerful tools on earth. AI is changing the entire world around us because we want to make sure that voice gets to the people who are looking for someone exactly like you. AI does a lot of the production, heavy lifting, but the way we operate, a real human being who's on your team, one that knows you, that has gone through these conversations, they know your practice, your community, they do the part that actually matters, which is the judgment, the taste, the care, the decision about what's worth saying and what more noise. The technology is designed to serve your voice, not replace it, not ever. Because you are irreplaceable. You are a divine creation, unique in your value, unique in your personality. And that's what the honorable in our name means. We don't pretend, we don't paper over things. We don't generate slop and then slap your logo on it. We do real work for real people using whatever tools we have to serve that mission. And when we do this right, here's what you get. Obviously, your practice, it grows. Not because you tricked anyone, but because the right clients finally found you. It's a practice that you're proud of. There's marketing that sounds like you when you read it back. A brand that you don't have to apologize for. A brand that your family looks at and they see legacy. They see impact. They see pride. And the clients on the other side of it, the real human beings that are going through, the worst week of their lives, they finally get matched up with someone who actually can help them instead of, whoever bid the highest or a settlement mill. You restore a little bit of trust into the profession that has pillaged by people who have never once sat across the table from a hurting human in their lives. Your community holds money that would have gone to some server farm owned by some conglomerate, instead stays in your local community. It impacts my community here in Greenville, South Carolina. It pays your paralegal. She pays her mortgage. She tips her waitress and buys, shoes for her kid. And with that wealth that stays local, that compounds in real ways. And even the wisdom stays local. Giving all of our data to these data centers that are designing the systems to replace us, it's insanity. Wisdom stays local, stays with your firm. And your family, yours and ours, get the one thing that the Global Grift cannot manufacture, which is a mom or a dad that comes home, that has time. Kids who grow up watching what honorable work actually looks like. Kids who see that you don't have to lie for a living. Kids who inherit a worldview, not debt. That's the real product. Everything else is just marketing, But it's never really about marketing. And I think you know that. You probably wouldn't have listened to this long. You get one shot at building the world that you will inherit. One. And every time that you feed into that global grift, every contract that you sign with conglomerates, every dollar you hand to people who would sell your child's attention to the highest bidder, you are casting a vote for the world where your kids are now prey. It's deep. It's a serious responsibility. But every time that you starve it, every time that you choose local, the honest, the small, the real, you're casting your vote for a world where they are more free. And it's not radical. This is the baseline. And marketing is supposed to be fun. The work is supposed to be honorable. Your community is supposed to be a place where you know your neighbor. Lawyers are supposed to help people. The radical thing is not what we're doing. The radical thing is what's been done to it. What makes you weird makes you wonderful. What makes you honest makes you indispensable. What makes you local makes you irreplaceable. We are not the alternative. This is the original. This is how I feel like it should have always been done. They are the deviation. And what we are going to do to win this is not going to be because we're louder. It's because the truth. That's well and told often by people who actually mean it, have never lost the long fight. It just takes a generation of stubborn, willing to do the work the right way. And I think that you are one of those people, and I'm certainly trying to be. And so I'd love the opportunity for you to come and build with us. Honorable marketing.